Hello, hello everyone. Welcome. And you already got the introduction about who I am, but I just want to go ahead and say thank you for being a part of this session. And I love talking about stress management because we are stressed. And I love the topic because it gives me a chance to help other people to minimize and take care of their stress. And in this particular time, we're going to talk about the power of positive thinking and how to use that to help reduce stress through your mind shift. Okay, so I'm going to take my little picture off and get started. So during this time frame, I think we could all agree, okay, that stress is a common part of life, especially in demanding environments like ours, whether or not you work for the county, or even in the educational system. But positive psychology has given us some great tools to manage that stress can be more effectively and how we can handle that. So in this session, we're going to discuss how your mindset can influence your stress levels and learn practical techniques. So it's going to be really interactive. I may ask you questions. I may even ask you to write some things down. So get a piece of paper and a pen so we can go ahead and get that started. So my goal today is to help you leave with strategies that you can implement to create a more positive and less stressful daily experience. So let's get started by talking about what is stress. Stress, we all experience it from day to day. Um, can everybody agree with that? Come on. And whether or not it's meeting deadlines, dealing with difficult situations, so just juggling multitask. Stress is a part of life. But what is stress exactly? Now, we've had these sessions before, and some of this may be redundant for some of you, but it is very important and very key that we just keep on repeating it. And basically, stress is our body's reaction to a challenge or a demand. And who can agree that we are always challenged just about every day, from the time you get up until the time you go to bed. So when you feel stress, your body goes into what we call the fight or flight mode. This is a natural response. This goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. You probably hear people talking about back in the day, a long time ago when, people had a lion or being attacked by a dangerous animal or something. Their body responded by either fighting or fleeing. And so that's why we call it the fight or flight mode. And it's a natural thing. Over time, it just continues to go and it becomes a part of who we are. But understanding that it's okay to be in a fight or flight mode, but it's also when we become in that fighting mode and that fleeing state of mind and being for too long, it's going to affect your physical, mental health. You might notice things like tension in your body, headaches, fatigue, racy heart rate. You might start sweating and even getting a fog brain. You just can't think very clearly. These are all part of stress and your body's response to it. And also mental stress, that's just some of the physical things, but even the mental stress, you get feeling of being overwhelmed, anxiety, or even burnout. And these are all the things that happens on a regular basis if you continue to be in a stressful situation and you're not managing it very well. Okay, I'm saying that again. These things are going to occur and it's going to always become a part of your life if you don't recognize it and if you do not manage it well. Now, who wants to be sweating all day? Who wants to feel overwhelmed all day and feeling anxiety and just feel like you're just being burnt out? I don't think anyone wants that. And I hope you agree with that. But there's good news. Okay. There is good news. I always like to say there's something good and positive at the end. Here is the good news. While we cannot always control the stressors in our lives, you can't control the traffic. Even though some people wish they can control the traffic and the flow and how other people are driving, sometimes we wish we can control it, or we wish we could control the lines at HEB or Walmart. We all feel we wish we could control those situations. And when you can't control it, it makes you frustrated. But guess what? You can't. But we can control how we respond to those stressors. And this is where your mindset becomes incredibly important. How you're handling this. Okay. And so we're going to talk about that as we go along. We're going to just hit and miss and just go through the whole subject of how you're going to manage all of this. So understanding stress, we already kind of talked about that. So basically it's our body's reaction. And, we talked, how that's going to happen. And look at this. I mean, that picture is kind of like, oh my gosh, look at all these things. And that's how your brain is probably handling a lot of these different situations when we're going through these different situations and stress. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about what positive psychology is talking about. So basically, what is positive psychology and how can it help us manage stress? Positive psychology is the study of what makes life worth living instead of focusing on what's wrong. Kind of think about that. How many of you, when you kind of going through situations at work, at home, or in between, you just really stay focused on the traffic, focus on the workload. You stay focused on those things. You stay focused on what's not going well at home, about the arguments, about your financial things. You stay focused on all those negative things. And so with positive psychology, instead of focusing on what's wrong, it wants to emphasize what's right, our strengths, our potential, and our capacity for happiness and resilience. How many of you really like to have that kind of a mindset? And I know a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people because I also coach a lot of people and even doing a lot of different sessions and things like that. A lot of times when I talk to people and they kind of give me something negative, I give them something positive to kind of think about. And so that's what it's all about. There's always something positive. And at the core of positive psychology is the idea that how we think about situations can significantly impact our experiences with them. Think about it. I know, using as an example, going to Walmart, and there was a long line, and the people in front of me was having some difficulties with the register, and the lady was apologizing, and I said, she was apologizing because it was taking so long and the clerk was, doing something. And I said, that's okay. This gives me an opportunity to meet somebody new and to talk. And we just started talking, and the lady just says, you know what? Thank you. This is different. And I learned about you, and I even learned a little bit about the situation that's going on. So I turned that situation around by kind of giving it more of a positive mindset. And when you do that, you start making a change not only in your mindset, but also in your body and how you're handling stress. So when we approach challenges with a positive mindset, we're better equipped to handle stress. Studies have shown that people who practice optimism and positive thinking not only feel less stressed, but are also healthier and more resilient in the face of adversity. And I think we all would like to have that kind of a mindset in those type of situations. And you don't always want to be the willy-nilly or the person that's always thinking negative, or people say, you're always thinking negative. And you say, but I don't try to be, I don't want to be that way. But this kind of happens. And we want to change that. So think of it this way. If you believe that things will turn out okay, you're less likely to experience stress in the first place. You approach problems with a sense of calm and control rather than fear or frustration. And over time, this mindset shift can profoundly affect your well-being. So we're going to kind of talk about a little bit about making life worth living. And I don't, it's kind of a touchy topic and everything. But a lot of times when people are in a very negative mindset and not looking at things, and they look at life not worth living. And sometimes, a lot of times, people end their lives early. Or even if they don't take that next step to ending their lives early, they start experiencing a lot of health issues that's all related to stress and the compounding of it on your mental health. And so we want to go ahead and change that. We want to make things a little bit different. Now, we don't want everything being rainbows, those little rainbows and birds flying around. But for moments, you can do that. And it's how you handle that situation. So what we're going to do is kind of talk about these different things, the mindsets and your stress reduction. So we know that how when having a positive mindset, even doing something, breathing deeply and kind of changing your mindset into more of a positive thing, you're actually able to affect your nervous system. And you're also able to affect your whole body's response. You could do a deep breathing type of exercise in 10 minutes. And studies have shown that within those 10 minutes, that your body has changed. Your blood pressure goes down. You start breathing a little bit different. Your heart is not racing. And you start seeing clearer. You're not anxious. Brain is not racing through a lot of different situations. So being able to do that by changing your mindset, you're reducing your body's response to stress. And I think that's what everybody wants to be able to do. And it's a very simple things that you can do in order to do that. And so what we could do actually is kind of think about something that we could do. So I just gave you an example of showing the impact of what happens when you talk about changing your mindset, making it more positive, being more optimistic. Because what happens a lot of times, a lot of people, when they don't think about anything positive, every activity, everything that they do is bad. It's bad outcomes. And who wants that? I mean, if you're thinking about negative things and you're thinking about, oh, woe is me, this is again, I got to go ahead and get back to work, and they're going to be really pounding me with all this workload, and I'm just not going to be able to do this. And guess what? With that mindset, I can't do all of this. That pile of papers that was on your desk in the morning, it's going to still be there in the evening when you're trying to leave work. Why? Because when you're thinking about negative things, when you're trying to, go through a lot of this stressors, you're not going to be able to sit still. You're going to become distracted. And so you're not going to be able to get through that work. You're going to be reading the same paragraph over and over and over and over again, and you're not going to be able to get it. You're not going to be able to get to the next file or the next page and whatever you're trying to do. And that is what happens. But if you see that pile of paper on your desk and you're trying to look at it in a more positive way, You could just say, you know what? That is a mile high of stack of papers on my desk. Let me just go ahead and take the top two folders, or let me just go through the folders and see which one has a priority. Now, what you want to do in doing that is set a priority of 1 to 5 and kind of list the things. One being it's urgent, it needs to be done within an hour. And just kind of work that through. Now, what you do is go ahead and pick up the folders and then start prioritizing them. And then you pick the top three that needs to be like a number one. And put the others aside, away from you, so that you don't always look at it, and stay with those three. And before you get started on those three, I want you to take a nice deep breath, inhale and exhale, and say to yourself, I could do this. I'm going to be able to get these things done within an hour. Your heart rate slows down. Your blood pressure goes down. Your pupils in your eyes changes so that you're able to go through each one of the documents, and you're going to have more clarity and more understanding, and you're going to be able to just tackle it. And then by the time you finish those three folders, I guarantee you're going to get those things done within the hour time frame as you put those priorities. It's all on a mindset that you have to change. And sometimes some people might say, well, you know what? I'm not going to make this meeting. I'm in traffic. I'm stuck. And I was like that too. I used to get so bogged down with different things. And the next thing I know, I got a meeting I got to go to, and it's 10 minutes away. And I am so far behind and I can't get there. And I start worrying, I start stressing, and I put my foot to the metal, to the pedal to get there. And I'm just racing and just, and then I get there and the meeting was delayed. The meeting was delayed, or they wasn't ready for me, or something happened. But I'm rushing through, trying to get there, arguing, just, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I gotta go. I gotta go. And just that negative thing. And it just perpetuated, and it just affected everybody else. But now I try to make myself prepared and not make myself 10 minutes late for something. But I said, you know what? I'm going to get there in time. And when I get there in time, everything's going to be okay. They're not going to be waiting or fussing at me. And it's going to be all right. And then when you don't have to worry about rushing. So it's just about your mindset. Then when I do get there, and if my change in my mindset, things were different. How I presented when I got to the meeting was different. How people responded was different. Because when you project a positive attitude and mindset, that becomes a ripple effect, and it impacts others, people around you too, as well. So let's try that. So we're going to go ahead and go through some practical techniques for positive mindsets. And one of the things we're going to talk about is, let's dive into these techniques. The first one is a gratitude practice. How many of you practice gratitude? You can show of hands if who does. And some people say, no, but I'm not grateful for anything. That's why I'm in this class. And if that's the case, let's go for it. One of the simplest things that a person could do in a more effective way of changing your mindset is practicing gratitude. When we're stressed, it's easy to focus on everything that's going wrong. But when you take a moment to reflect on what you're thankful for, your brain begins to shift away from negative thoughts into more positive ones. Now, some people will use the job experience, work. And a lot of people, they go to work, and I know one of the things I hear a lot of people saying, well, It's Monday. Oh yeah, it is Monday. I got to get to work. I got to do this. And they already set the pace. I got a meeting. And I really don't want to be there because so and so has really gotten on my last nerves Friday, and I want to have to deal with them today on Monday. And it's just this just builds up all this negative energy, these negative thoughts. But how can you turn that around? What can you do to turn that around? One, you could say, yes, today is Monday, and today is a new day of the week. I am going to work, and at this job, I'm going to be able to work and show my different skills and what I'm able to do and bring to this environment. And I'm going to be able to say, I'm making some money today. And by making some money today, I'm able to take care of my bills. I'm also able to get some things that my children are really looking for and having because I have this job. You see, you change the mindset, you look at the little things and you could find it if you just look for it. Now, one of the things I do tell a lot of people, especially my clients, is get a gratitude jar. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed with different things that we just can't think of anything positive. So I tell them, get a mason jar, get a piggy bank, get something, that you could just, get a sticky, one of those little sticky pads, and write something positive. Write something that you're grateful for. You can do it on your good moments and, your good days when you're feeling positive, and put it in your jar. You can even write a quote that really resonates with you, that talks about something nice and positive and good, and put them in your jar. And then on those days when you can't think of anything that you're grateful for, go to your jar, go to your gratitude jar, and pull out that little piece of paper. And as you're reading it, take some nice deep breaths. And you can even place your hand over your heart. And when you do that, you're actually starting to see and feel your heart rate going down. You can feel the motion of your chest inhaling and exhaling. And that connection is what you call a body-mind connection, because now you're changing your mindset. And while you're changing your mindset and your thoughts, you can actually feel your body responding differently. Okay? And that's something you could do anytime, every day. So if you're having one of those really bad days, go to your gratitude jar. When you have one of those good days, write down everything you can think of that you're being grateful for. Okay? And that will make a big difference. Let's talk about reframing from negative thoughts. That is a hard thing to do, okay? Especially if you live in an environment where it's always negative, negative, negative. But cognitive reframing involves taking a negative thought and looking at it from a different positive perspective. For example, let's say you're being overwhelmed with work. So instead of thinking, I can't handle this, let's try reframing it. I'm doing the best I can, and I'll get through this. By changing the way you interpret a situation, you reduce its emotional impact on you. You start having control over your thoughts. Okay, so let's practice this together. I want you to think of something that very negative, of the most negative thing you can think of. And what I want you to do is to write that negative thing down on a piece of paper. And I want you to now write how you can look at it differently. What's a more positive and realistic way to view this situation? Just take a few minutes and write that down on a piece of paper. And then I'm just going to give you about 2 minutes. And then I want you to go ahead. And if you want to share, you can. You can take yourself off of mute and just share it. And then I want you to kind of share your response after you looked at that situation in a more positive way. So just go ahead and do that. We got about another minute left to go ahead and do this exercise. Okay. Does anybody want to share? Did they write down the most negative thing and then, that caused some stress, and then looked at it from a different perspective and more of a positive mindset? Did anybody do that? No? Nobody wants to share? Okay. Well, guess what? I'm going to share. I'm going to share the most negative thing that I could think of is the fact that I am away. My son, I have a grandchild, and he's 15 months old. And my son and wife and grandson, they live in Europe. If I can't think of more negative thing than that, that is because that would mean I don't get to see this adorable, loving grandson of mine. But I'm thinking about the fact that the positive thing is that I have a child that is continuing on from the things that I taught my son, and my son is teaching his child. I'm also thinking about the fact that even though they are miles and miles and 7-hour time difference, that I do get a chance to, when I'm ready and financially can, to visit and go back to Europe and visit them. And whenever I think about that, then I say, okay, well, I can't see them now. Then I set up a time and we have FaceTime. And whenever I do that, it just brings me joy. And they send me pictures and everything. And then I look at his pictures and everything else. And that really helps me out a lot. So that's, how you could just change things around. Okay. Some other things that you could do is what we call affirmations and positive self-talk. Finally, affirmations and positive self-talk can play a huge role in reducing stress. When we're stressed, our inner dialogue can often become negative. I'm not good enough, or I'll never get this done. Positive affirmations are phrases that you repeat to yourself to challenge and replace these negative thoughts. Here's a simple one. You could say, I am calm. I am capable. And I am in control. And you try repeating that to yourself during stressful situations. And with regular practice, these affirmations can replace your thought patterns. And then instead of thinking crazy thoughts and negative thoughts, you're able now to look at the situation in a different view, a different perspective. And that helps so much in the long run. Can anybody else think of any positive affirmations that they use to kind of help them? You can write it in the chat if you want. Okay. Well, one of the things that I am doing, I do have some handouts that you're going to get later on. And one of them is self-reflection worksheet, and it's understanding your stress triggers. A lot of times people get so overwhelmed with stress and all the things that goes along with it that they don't even understand the stressors. They don't even understand the things that causes them stress. And so this worksheet is going to help you identify your stressors and your triggers and help you to evaluate how you can shift your mindset to reduce the impact. And by becoming more aware of your triggers and responses, you can develop effective strategies to manage your stress. You'll be able to kind of come up with more positive affirmations. And what I probably will do too as well is give you some positive affirmations too that you can make your own. You can actually put them into what I talked about earlier, your gratitude jar, and put that in there too. And then you just pull it out whenever you need some help. And then I also have another worksheet that's called Cognitive Reframing Worksheet. And what that's going to do is going to involve changing your perspective on a stressful situation by replacing negative or unhelpful thoughts with more positive or neutral ones. It's not about ignoring the challenges, but about viewing them in a way that reduces their emotional impact. Because sometimes we have to look at a situation differently. And by doing this reframing and using this worksheet that's going to help. Let's say, for instance, this negative thought. I'm so bad at this, I'll never get it right. You've probably said that yourself, especially if you got to a new job. You probably even heard your children say it or somebody else. Now, when anybody around me says anything like that, I go ahead, I say, what's on the other side of that coin? There's a heads and there's a tail. So you just gave me the negative one. I'm so bad at this, I'll never get it right. But guess what? The reframing thought that you can say and think about is that I'm learning and improving with practice. And it's okay to make mistakes. One of the things we have a hard time is perfection. We believe that we have to be perfect at all times. We believe that everyone wants us to do things a certain way. We start hearing these little voices in our heads that we need to be perfect. But you're not perfect. You are learning every day and you're doing things differently. So these are just an example of what you can do. And this is going to be some of the handouts that you're going to get. And I'm going to also provide you with some positive affirmations too that you can use. So I want you to start writing down what you're grateful for. And then you can start making that in your little jar. That's your assignment for today. Isn't that the most adorable thing? But let's start taking a negative thought and looking at it from a different view. Now, I would say years and years ago, you would not see dogs and cats together. But now you're seeing people having pets, but they have a house full of, you have a couple of dogs and a couple of cats, and they just look so adorable together. Now, everything started changing in mindset. And sometimes you just kind of look at this and look at it differently. Okay, we talked about all of this. I just did not progress my slides as I was doing it, but we did talk about it. And one of the other things that you could do is creating a calming toolkit. What I want you to do is gather items that helps you feel calm and relaxed, whether or not it's music, a stress ball, coloring books, or inspirational quotes. And you can keep this toolkit with you. You can put it in your purse. You kind of get one of these little nice little bags and put it in, or put it in your desk, in your drawer. And anytime you feel you need it, you can just go ahead and pull it out. One of the things I used to do is I'm into a lot of aromatherapies, and I have two particular ones that whenever I inhale it, it just puts me in a very calming frame of mind. And a lot of my employees, they knew when I was getting to that point when they could just see my eyes starting to roll in the back of my head. They'll ask me, you want to get the oils? And I say, yes, please. And so that's in my toolkit. But you could go ahead and make up your own toolkits of things that you need. And you can put it in your car too. Put it in your glove compartment. So when you're driving in traffic and things are starting to really start working on your last nerve and you're starting getting stressed because you're trying to get to work because you got that meeting you got to go to, go ahead and pull it out of your glove compartment. And you can probably put some aromatherapy, some nice oils, and put it on a cotton ball and put it on your vent in your car. And as the air is circulating, you're inhaling that aromatherapy. So these are all different types of things that you could do. Okay, so we about 12:40. We're going to start doing a 5-minute guided meditation. And before we get started with this meditation, or as we're getting started, whether or not you're at home or you're in the office, I want you to get yourself in a very comfortable position. And before you start getting into a comfortable position, make sure you don't have any distractors. Make sure your phone is on silent. Make sure if you're at home, the children is not running around, or shut your door. Or if you want to write a little note and put it outside your cubicle or whatever work area, put it on top of your computer and say 5 minutes relaxation and put shh. And I want you to now get in your seat, have your feet placed gently on the ground, your hands in your lap, your back straight and erect up against your chair. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in and exhale. And we're going to get started. Now, let's take a moment, put some of these ideas into practice with a short meditation. Meditation is a very powerful tool to quiet the mind and refocus on the present moment. This meditation will focus on calming your mind and reinforcing positive thinking. Let's start by focusing on your breath. Breathe in deeply through your nose. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Let your breath relax you. As you breathe, I want you to silently repeat these affirmations. I am calm. I am capable. I release stress with each breath I take. So continue just breathing deeply and slowly focusing on these affirmations. I am calm. I release stress with each breath I take. I am capable. Now imagine a wave of relaxation starting from the top of your head and flowing down through your body, releasing any tension in your neck, shoulders, and back. As you exhale, imagine any stress or worries leaving your body, replaced with calm and peace. Inhale, exhale. I am calm. I am capable. I release stress with each breath I take. Now take one more deep breath together and exhale. When you're ready, open your eyes. Note any changes in your body and your mind. How do you feel? Well, thank you for your time and participation. Well, a little bit. To recap, remember that managing stress begins with your mindset. By practicing gratitude, reframing negative thoughts, and using positive affirmations, you can significantly reduce your stress level and improve your overall well-being. And as I said, I'm going to be providing you with some worksheets and some affirmations that you could do. And then you can also reach out to me as well. So we're gonna go ahead and conclude this portion and go to any Q&A. And I guess at this time, if you want to go ahead and stop the recording, we could do that, and people might feel free to ask any questions. But we covered a lot today about how positive thinking can help reduce stress. And now I love to hear from you. And if there's any questions about the techniques that we talked about or how to implement them in your daily life, go ahead, you take your mic and